What is up? I'm going to make a reaction video. Topic of today is going to be feminist versus anti-feminist. YouTube channel named Cut. Let's get started.
Hello. My name is Bailey.
My name is Riley.
I'm Charity.
I'm Emily.
I am Chauvin.
I'm Peter. I'm the anti-fascist, but
Feminist?
Anti-feminist. Sorry.
Can you each take turns defining what that means for you?
I view feminism as...
So one thing I want to make sure people look into is there's different ways of feminism. There's first wave, second wave, and third wave. The first wave, generally speaking, was a group of women that were trying to get the right to vote, right? Getting the right to vote. The second wave continued on that premise of trying to equalize and make things more convenient for women and allow women to get into political positions, allow them to get into certain jobs and industries, to be seen equally, to not be discriminated against, to have equal opportunity and not be discriminated against in the lens of the law. And there are different feminist philosophers or feminist influencers or whatever you want to call them. Some of them went to an extreme of also saying that that the nuclear family is bad for women, that the nuclear family is a patriarchal, misogynistic, a man-made idea made specifically to bring women down, to hinder women's growth. And there's a lot of cultural things that feminism has done that is really bad, and also some that is really good, that some can agree to disagree. So when these guys define what they are, a lot of them are probably going to be using the positive elements of feminism. And anyways, I'll probably make a separate video talking about the negative aspects of feminism and the failures of it. But you'll hear a glimpse of it, of, the cons from the quote-unquote anti-feminists. What a terrible dichotomy. It's a really weird way to divide the two different sides, but I get what they're trying to do here.
as a social movement advocating for the equality of all genders.
My view is anti-feminist. We were born and raised, and actually we tend
The equality of male and female. That's what feminists were fighting for. Female equal rights. No discrimination on females, on biological females. That was the original vision of the first feminists, of trying to make sure there's no discrimination under the law, equal voting rights, etc., etc. I don't know why this guy is saying, I get it. I have issues with people that are purposely obtuse and vague.
to lean in towards those traditional ways. So
Why do you think we brought these two groups together?
It's really relevant today. There's a lot going on in the climate, so I feel like there's maybe even tension between women in general because of it. So,
Should we start with the shot?
sure.
Alrighty. What are some stereotypes you've heard about feminists?
Like, I imagine somebody with like hairy armpits and like has period pad earrings, and I'm like, I don't like it.
What makes you feel that way?
I don't know. I feel like the media mostly.
sports bras and tiny pants and heels, and trying to just go above and beyond to make it known.
It's blatantly obvious there's a group of women today that have been very bombastic and prideful and boastful about embracing their periods and, wearing clothes where there's red paints on their pants, and trying to destigmatize things that used to be private, and instead of it being private and being cautious about it, or they interpret it as there were these conditions that women had, that they were supposed to be ashamed of these natural things that women had. And I get it. I don't know why certain women felt that way, but there was an overreaction where you have these women in pussy hats walking around and also saying that women shouldn't shave, we don't have to shave, why should we wear bras, why do we have to wear deodorant, right? This is an overreaction that we see, that if you were to ask the first wave of feminists that are they fighting for women to embrace and wear in public their monthly cycle and show it around and be boastful about it and be proud about it, I guarantee you the first wave would be like, absolutely not.
Known that it's my body, I can do what I want with it, and you can't do anything.
I don't have sports bras or tiny heels.
You're not wrong. Stereotype, not 100%.
It's all about body empowerment and doing everything you can with your body with whoever you please, instead of waiting for the right person or ignoring the other people. No, not sluts, but
Third wave feminism is the moral liberalization, moral liberation, as far as what used to be the standard for how a woman ought to be. There used to be a time where being demure, being feminine, having standards, being pure, waiting, and being covered up, that used to be appreciated, that used to be attractive. When you look at women 50 years ago, 100 years ago, morally speaking, there was a great difference. Now, third wave feminists were fighting to destigmatize and liberate women from these standards and quote unquote old traditions, because again, the whole foundation of why they are trying to break away from this is because, it's the patriarchy. It's men trying to tell women what to do, and we women no longer want to have the boot of men on our knees, and we want to liberate ourselves from that. We want freedom, free, do whatever the hell we want. Fuck these standards, fuck this, fuck that. All of it is just rules created by men, and we hate men. We don't need men. We're better without men. And women's empowerment. We're divas. We're bosses. We're queens. That's the modern feminist. That's third wave feminism in a nutshell. And this is where you start to see these over the top, overcompensation women that are doing these crazy things as an overreaction, overcorrection for what first wave and second wave feminism was fighting for.
that not following, let's say nicely, the 10 Commandments per se, you know.
Who gets laid more, feminist or?
A common theme you're going to notice with these modern phenomenon of third wave feminism, for example, is a lot of them have exited the traditional moral worldview of Judeo-Christianity. They don't see the purpose of it. They see it as controlling. They see it as something that is outdated. They see it as no longer needed. And what they have changed it with is hedonism. Hedonism. Look up what that word means. It is an individual that puts pursuit of pleasure over anything else. So, in other words, whatever feels right is right. That's where you're going to notice the common theme is with a lot of these modern new wave phenomenons and new ways of thinking.
Or anti-feminists?
I would have to say feminists. Anti-feminists typically have a stereotype of not exactly being sympathetic or empathetic towards women.
I can see that, but at the same time, I don't see how being anti-feminist would delay a person from being sexually active.
It's all stereotypes, but...
I mean, I would like to hope that everybody's having some share of affection or love.
I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you. If you're a dude and you're quote-unquote a feminist, you are being friend-zoned. You ain't getting no action, okay? Because usually the common thing I'm noticing with these men that are quote-unquote supporting the modern women and women's rights, they're friends, and women friend zone them. Women use them and only see them as friends. They don't respect them. They won't have sex with you. They won't reproduce with you. And I won't get too much into the seduction standpoint of it, but I guarantee the guys that disagree and are able to say no and stand for something and create that tension with women and not be so fucking agreeable and don't be a pussy like these feminist men that are so terrified to stand their ground, have balls, and tell women when they're wrong and why they're wrong and stand up for something. That's the general gist of it. These male feminists think that they can weasel their way in by saying, I'll agree with these girls about everything and I'll play the nice guy. And oh, no, I can't say anything because if I say something and that disagrees with these feminists and it's misogyny. You know, I don't want to be controlling. Standards is controlling. My preferences as a man is controlling to women. It's weak. No. Male feminists do not get laid more. Now, female feminists absolutely get a lot more sexually active and get pounded all the time compared to anti-feminist women that are more traditional, Christian, reserved, waiting till marriage, etc., etc., etc. Because again, you have to think, any type of rules, standards, regulations, morals that are put upon these women that are feminists, they perceive it as men trying to control them, old traditions, things that because they weren't allowed in the past, we should be able to do it now, and we're going to do it now 10x, we're going to do it frequently, we're just going to fuck around, we're going to get a taste of everything, we're going to find ourselves. This is freedom, this is liberation, this is women's empowerment, yada, yada, yada.
Who gets laid more, feminists or anti-feminists?
I think feminists, just from what I've heard, especially from friends of mine that are women, when they're on dating apps and stuff.
Yeah, bro, you hear what this guy said? Friends of his that are women. This dude is friend zoned. He is not fucking or getting with sexually with these women. They are friend zoning him. He is seen as a friend zone. He is not seen as a sexual option because he's weak.
Such, they have someone that they think is, you know, in that kind of sphere of not a feminist or is a Trump supporter or something like that, then they'd swipe left. Are you a Trump supporter, Bailey?
110%. I think.
Bro, I'm going to tell you this as someone that used to be hardcore in the dating scene. I guarantee you, women that don't have any standards and believe that being sexually liberated and doing whatever the hell you want is empowering and fun, is the way to liberate, and it's women's empowerment, whatever bullshit these feminists today claim that they're fighting for and standing for, they're easier to get in bed. They stand for nothing. They embrace being whores. They're on OnlyFans. They embrace having 50 to 100 guys they've been with and are not even 30 years old. That's the modern culture we have today. So obviously, yeah, because all these stigmas and shame that we used to have on these particular behaviors, because the feminist perceives that as misogyny and men trying to control you and taking away from your freedom, obviously they're going to embrace being a whore.
I think he did a really good job at running the country.
Since we're talking about feminism, what do you think?
And to make a final point, the dude said, well, yeah, my female friends, you know, they're not dating these Trump supporters. I'm going to tell you right now, a dude knows he's not going to get laid with these whores. There ain't no whores out there that are Trump supporters. A lot of them are not Trump supporters. They hate Trump. They hate Republicans. They're all for Democrats. Why? Again, because They typically understand that Democrats are pro-choice. Democrats help them live their lifestyle of promiscuity and hookup culture, so they're going to be aligned with that. If you're a dude though that's trying to get some, you're not going to bring none of that up, right? So it's easy to seduce these girls. Is my point I'm trying to say. So a dude that's smart, they're not going to bring up shit about, yeah, I'm a Trump supporter. No, if they're just trying to get some quickie, they ain't going to bring that shit up. They're going to manipulate you and realize that you're easy. You're just a pump and dump girl. That's the reality of it. If you don't respect yourself as a woman, men are not going to respect you.
Of his comments on women.
You know, people do say things and do things, and I don't think that people should be held accountable, especially for things that happened, you know, years and years and years ago. People can say things and still be kind, genuine people.
This is a tough question.
Oh God.
Why do you hate women?
What? Is that really it?
Is the question.
My answer is I do not hate women at
That's
all.
a good answer.
Why do you hate women?
I don't hate women. The things that they're trying to stand for, I just think is a little ridiculous. There's been so much time of us doing the same thing, and why would we want to change that?
I wouldn't say I hate women, I just believe in certain roles.
So that girl illustrates her worldview, the quote-unquote anti-feminist. In other words, she has standards, she appreciates those standards, she values those standards, she understands the purpose of them, she understands that roles serve a purpose and can be good, and she wants to abide by those. In other words, she values and appreciates and understands the purpose of restraint. Restraining yourself is good. Overindulging and having no limits and just free, do whatever the hell you want, do whatever feels right in the moment. There are great consequences when you have zero restraint. And also psychological issues, right? When you look at the data now, women are freer than ever before. Have access to more things now than ever in the history of mankind for women. Yet more women today are on antidepressants and have psychological issues than ever before. Depressed, etc., etc.
I need to make this very, very clear. I do not hate women. Every woman's beautiful in their own way. I think the definition of feminism has changed over the last 60, 70 years. I've seen it move towards focusing on women's rights and their reproductive rights, towards being really hateful towards men and their ideals of what is masculine and what isn't.
So if I'm understanding you correctly,
he's 100% correct. There's a group of women that are driven by envy and bitterness and disdain for men, because men naturally are good and better at a lot of different things. Men have built a lot of things. Men have died for the privileges that we have today, fought wars, risked their lives daily. We have more male police officers. We have more male individuals that are doing infantry for the Army and Marines and the Navy SEALs. We have more males doing riskier, life-threatening jobs, like working on skyscrapers, building bridges. And there are women out there that envy that. They hate that. They don't appreciate that. They don't value that. So they choose to shame these men and claim we don't need no man. The ignorance that we have today with women that they don't value men. They're blinded by the first world privileges and luxuries. They sit on top of this golden country and infinite amount of conveniences and luxuries, and ignore the people, the men that created those things, that innovated those things, for the most part, for the majority of the part. And shame these men, have hate towards them, instead of appreciation.
you agree with the principles of feminism, but you don't agree with a certain segment of feminists who you perceive to be more man-hating than they are about advocating for equality.
Yes.
This is a patriarchal society that is antithetical to what feminism says, which is we should all be equal.
Define has
Bro, we're equal. We're equal. Women are everywhere. Things are equalized as much as they can be. The reality, though, is, statistically speaking, we are seeing that women work less hours than men. Women do not like physically demanding and life-threatening jobs like men do. Women don't innovate as much. When it comes to hard, brutal labor like jackhammering and laying cement, women don't want to get in those jobs. These high-paying jobs that are life-threatening and hyper-logical and very stressful and require 80 hours, 60 hours a week, women don't want to do those jobs. Now, there are certain jobs that women like to do that they get paid pretty well. But that's a choice that they make that isn't a reflection of, quote unquote, like this Indian nerd said, of a patriarchy. No, bro. That's not true. That's false. It's been debunked already.
in quotations a woman.
Define a woman.
Yeah.
A woman itself is anyone who believes that they identify as a woman.
I mean,
Okay, this is where feminism, modern feminism, has gone off the cliff. This chick has made the definition of a woman be whatever. If you believe you're a woman, then you are a woman. For those listening, do you not realize how dehumanizing that is? That is dehumanizing definition that discredits the value and worth and rare parts that women have, rare things that women can do, biologically speaking, that men cannot do. Terrible definition.
Gender to me is a social construct.
I do feel that definitions are
Again, do you guys see when you stand for nothing, you buy into all of this modern confusion and things that used to be common sense? You retreat from that. You run away from it. You don't value it anymore. So this dude, I mean, you can, like, you listen to them and you're like, gender's a social construct. This is new age, modern terminology, modern definitions. If you were to ask Americans 50 years ago, 100 years ago, even 30 years ago, that are around the same age as these kids, of what is a fucking woman, you would have nowhere near the amount of answers that we have presented in this video.
are hard. But I do feel that a woman is somebody who was born with a vagina. That's my definition of a woman.
When you're defining words, it can be
A woman is someone that has XX chromosomes and is born a biological woman. That is it. That has been the definition for most countries. That has been the definition since the beginning of time. If you are born a biological woman with XX chromosomes, you are a woman. That is your gender. Gender and sex have been synonymous. Now, the modern age definitions of these new thinkers are trying to separate sex and gender and say gender is a construct, it is a spectrum. The bullshit that this fucking loser is spewing out right now that makes no sense, that he looks so confused. If you were to ask him, how many genders are there? He would have no idea.
be super tricky to like get the actual definition. Like, how would you define a chair?
So bro gets so lost in his worldview of not even being able to define a woman that he now starts to challenge all reality and ask a preposterous question like, can you define a chair? Don't take these people seriously. If you're confused and if an individual cannot clearly define what they mean in a simple way and you are confused and it's hard for you to understand, trust your gut instinct and realize that it is nonsense.
Well, it has like a seat and a back and 4 legs.
So a horse is a chair.
Which group is more
That guy is a dumbass.
racist and why?
Oh boy.
It's a slam dunk for me, but I'm curious.
I think anti-feminism is really pretty racist.
I would agree.
I'm more liberal on the side of anti-feminism. I think a lot of people who are more traditional are more racist towards that fact and are willing just to stay with their groups.
Why does racism have to come into it?
Some of the first feminists were extremely racist and did not want to include people of color at all in the things that they were fighting for. Yes, that's why.
Well, you just taught me something new.
That's why women of different races were allowed to vote at different time periods throughout history.
I honestly don't know. I'm gonna just take a shot because I can't answer that question. Can you answer the question?
Yeah, I'd say generally I think anti-feminists are more
Yeah,
racist.
I figured you'd say that. Why?
Because there's typically a lot of beliefs that tend to go together.
I disagree. I mean, and personally, I don't see skin color. You're a human.
I think it's an outdated phrase to say I don't see color, and that was born out of not recognizing the different experiences people.
Liar. Liar, liar, liar. I would love to be sitting in that chair with this lady with the orange shirt. The guy says it is an outdated construct to not see color. You know what's older than the construct of not seeing color? Seeing color. Seeing color and judging an individual by their race and emphasizing and putting drastic amount of value to saying your skin tone defines you, is you, and I'm going to judge you by your skin tone. That is what the whole foundation of slavery in America was built on. So this jackass is saying, well, it's an outdated construct. You are bringing up the original way of viewing racist, or the race in America. So he makes no sense. His worldview of seeing race and his constructs is what white supremacists use, white slave owners used, is what law was viewed and created by. Whenever this country was founded, whenever people genuinely believed if you were colored, if you were black, you were less than, you were less capable, you were not able to read, you were illiterate. You were not able to be living in a free society. You shouldn't have rights. Judging you by your skin tone. Martin Luther King was his speech of I Have a Dream was pushing things outside of judging by your skin tone. Judging by character, not by skin tone. So why is this white dude here disagrees with the person that was black, great intellectuals that was black, Martin Luther King. So we're going in reverse now. This is the shit that makes no sense.
People go through. For your case, you're saying you like to have a traditional kind of household. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if that's what you want. Mm-hmm. It's more about if you are trying to tell others the way that they should live and you're advocating, politically, voting for people or wanting laws to get passed that keep things a certain way.
Statistically speaking, systematically, culturally speaking, the nuclear family has a higher success rate than any other form of living. More than hookup culture type of living, more than just being single, more than living a polygamous where you have multiple women, or vice versa for women that want to be with multiple men. The nuclear structure of marriage, one man, one woman, children, having your own kingdom of a house, having a multitude of kids, whatever, is the best system. It is the best system that has that has overcame a lot of things and has a high success rate. So you should fight for, culturally speaking, what ought to be the ideal, what ought to be the standard that we should all push for. If you have no fucking standards, do you think humans are just gonna just do whatever they... No. When you have no standards, you stand for nothing, you think like this jackass that can't even define what a woman is. That is so confused. You need standards. Humans need standards. We need structures. We need a purpose of what we are going towards. Where are you going? What should you ought to do? What is the thing that will increase your likelihood for success for you, your child, etc., etc.? Being alone, you have a less success rate than if you were a married man. Statistically speaking, in corporate America, or for all jobs for that matter, men that are married and have children they outperform men that are single.
Restrict people.
Why change something that's works for so long?
Maybe works for some people.
What are feminists?
So this is the shit. They resort to, well, it works for some people. It is what was used for you to be here at this moment now. If you would have asked that dude, what one generation passed, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations passed, most of them lived that same lifestyle that he is saying doesn't work, it's outdated, don't need it, whatever. They live by a standard. There was a cultural norm, a cultural standard. And now he wants to just abandon it and say, you know what, there's new ways of doing it. We don't have to live that way. What I would tell that guy is, listen, imagine if your ancestors didn't have that standard. You would not be here right now. The chances of you being here now would be drastically less. Because also in the past, the standard was to have kids, to propagate. Humans need standards. We need cultural norms.
It's not getting right.
It's not about us versus them. Feminism, at the end of the day, is about the ability for us to be able to work together and pick the best viable person to do the job, no matter what gender they are.
Do you remember when Trump first got elected and there were the women's rights riots?
Yeah.
People had like the little pink hats with the cat ears, the pussy hats.
All right, to go back to what that other lady said, no, feminism has morphed more into demanding people judge you by your sex and meet these quotas of women being in jobs and being in positions of power. Instead of it being a merit-based thing, they have replaced merit for equity and diversity in women. So men have been discriminated against under the name of we need more women representation in certain jobs and higher positions of power. There are plenty of men that have lost their jobs because of that, or have not been considered for jobs because they were discriminated against because they weren't female. I mean, that's what the whole affirmative action premise was.
I don't know what they were called. It makes me think a lot about white feminism and the way that feminism is expressed. Like me included, to have to like check themselves at every point and be like, am I listening to people more marginalized than me? Or am I like getting really excited about a movement and like doing something performative, like wearing a pink hat with cat ears and yeah.
Give feminists one compliment or take a shot.
I'm taking a shot on that one.
Let's take a shot and I'll give you all a compliment. Clink, clink. I will say that I think feminists, radical or not, are real strong. Try to beat one down with your words. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think feminists are amazing in the way of they've made birth control condoms more accessible, and I think as well as promoting there being male birth control as well.
All right, game's over.
All right.
How was that?
That was really fun. Good
conversation.
conversation. Yeah. I think it's conversations that people need to have.
Yeah,
I liked it.
It was
Yeah.
good. It was I was prepared for way worse.
Better than I thought.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching my videos. I think I've said everything I needed to say. Everyone have a good day and take care.